Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are recording Thursday, October 17th, 2024. Getting ready for another weekend of football. Tonight's going to be the Broncos and Saints, and then we go into a nice long weekend, I think with only two teams having a bye. So a lot of games this weekend, Ed.
Yeah, it looks like tonight's game should be a good watch anyway. I haven't been really paying attention much on Thursday night.
Yeah.
But yeah, tonight you got the Saints with the backup quarterback and the Broncos who have looked good, haven't looked good. It's just nowhere where they're going to be. So
only problem with this game, Saints are annihilated is injuries. They're out their top two receivers, possibly their top three. Patrick Surtain is out. Another player for the Broncos is out, but they're missing.
I did hear
the
that
Saints
too.
are missing their. I think they're missing a tight end or they're missing a left tackle.
Well, it might be a good game.
It's a lot. We'll see. We'll see.
But yeah, I mean, this weekend should be good. We're back to our regular time slot. None of that late stuff. And
the Eagles are going to get 5 straight 11 o'clock games or 1 o'clock games back east,
right?
Which is going to be great. Continuing on into the Bengals game next weekend, we'll have an 11
they
o'clock.
Pushed it back from late to early.
And then I'm also assuming the Jaguars and Eagles Sunday night game is going to get flexed to a possible afternoon 1 o'clock game. So we'll see.
It's got to be.
We might have 6 straight 1 o'clock games. Yeah. But we're getting really excited. We're ready. I don't know why we get excited. We get excited just to get hurt again, I guess. It's always fun. You're always ready to feel that pain in your heart. Sunday also has a morning game back in London, the Patriots-Jaguars.
Oh, wow. That's a real good one. Yikes.
Well, 2 bad teams usually can make a good game. You never know what happens. But let's get into our game. So as always, we're going to give a plug to the Eagles Fan Club of Colorado Springs, or that's the Philadelphia Eagles Fan Club of Colorado Springs. We're going to be meeting at Rhinos. Probably won't be there this week again. Just kind of, hanging out with the baby on Sundays is kind of our day to get to spend a lot of time with her and everything. And my parents are able to come over and hold her during that time and get to be around and everything like that while we're watching the game.
Yeah, it's great.
It also stops us from screaming at the TV because we're holding a baby. So it really
there wasn't much screaming last week, but
but it really helps to have that baby because you're just like, I can't get too I can't get too mad because I'm holding a beautiful baby. So
yes, that's right.
Which is nice, but
I agree.
All right, let's get into the games. The Eagles Giants going to be playing Sunday at 11 a.m., of course, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Dad, do you have a weather report for me?
Yes, I do. It's going to be kind of similar to last week's game. It's going to be 78 degrees, sunny, perfect, beautiful fall day. No wind in the forecast. Of course, that always can change, but no rain. So it should be a good game, good day, probably cool, pretty nice. So 78 can be a little bit warm depending on where you're sitting in the sun, but I don't think they're going to be sweating it out because it's starting to get late October. Yeah. The coolness is in the air there.
Yeah.
So
only major bummer about this game is going to be in New York, so it's at the stadium that I always consider to be the worst stadium in the league in NFL history. And it hasn't been kind to us as of late. We don't want to talk too much about that. But
agree.
Just not a fan of this stadium where we're going. Neither is Mekhi Becton, as he made his comments about not wanting to go play up it or not looking forward to going and playing on that field. And
he has some choice words, though. He didn't say nice. He was.
Yeah, good news is Saquon's going back to play against his old team. That's kind of the big story, calling it the revenge game, all that sort of stuff. It's nice that he's played on that field so he kind of knows that turf and everything like that. Maybe that'll give us a little bit of an advantage.
Hey, we'll take what we can.
I'll take anything we can at this point because we're grasping at straws. It feels like at this point in the season, it's really hard to gauge this team. We're 3-2. Could be 4-1, could be 0-5.
Win, loss, win.
I mean, we could be 0-5. I mean, we're a couple plays away from being 0-5.
It's tough.
When Jalen in the Green Bay game, Jalen fumbled that ball, Saquon jumped on it. If Green Bay got on that ball, they would have went down and scored a 1.
It looked really good in that game, I thought.
I know, but it's just funny. I'm telling you, each game,
one possession.
Each game, we're one play away technically from being 0-5. I got to be honest, and that's the bummer. Can we just win a game by 2 scores, 3 scores?
I agree.
Just 10 points, 9 points, 2 scores. Let's go into the all-time series. So the Eagles, we lead the series 93, 88, and 2. We got 2 ties with them. Over the last 25 years, we lead 35-19. That includes some playoff games as well.
Wow. That's okay.
Pardon me. Sorry about that. But yeah, so we lead 93, 88, and 2, and then 35 and 19 in the last 25 years, which is nice. So this is why I always talk about this team, the Giants. I've never really hated the Giants. I know a lot of people talk about, if you live in Philly, You hate the Giants because you hate New York and you hate the Yankees and you hate
Right.
this, which I do hate the Yankees too. But all that sort of stuff. I never really hated the Giants because it feels like in my lifetime we've just constantly kind of destroyed them. A couple of years ago, not only did we sweep them with 2 games, we beat them in the playoffs too. So we won 3 times against them in 1 year. It's just kind of
doesn't happen much.
I know exactly. I mean, I think the last time was against us in 2009 or something. But I've never really. I know it's a rivalry because we're in the division, but I've just never felt the hatred for them or from them because it just doesn't feel like it's
more some of the old time fans.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
Because in the 70s they dominated, in the 80s we did, and then they got good again. And it's been a good rivalry till the last 10, 15 years. What are we 16-4 in our last 20 games?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, so that's crazy.
And then we have got all the Meadowlands against them and everything like that, the miracles and all that sort of stuff. But speaking of which, I was going to say, any favorite past games from the matchup?
Oh gosh, there was some probably in the late '80s. They won a Super Bowl in '86, and then there was a few times we upset them there in the late '80s, which was nice. And then of course in the early '90s with Randall and Reg still around, we beat them up pretty good. They were always a top team, but we were one year we beat them when we had a really bad record and they were really good, and we beat them really good. So
for some reason I'm in a 2015 Eagles mood as of late. I always talk about that being kind of to me, the worst Eagles season ever, at least in my lifetime. Even though we've had even worse record seasons, 2015 Eagles were just an abomination. And we beat the Giants that year. I think DeMarco Murray had actually a really big game. It was like the only game of the season that we were proud of him.
Interesting.
I can't remember which game it was. It might have been I think it was the first time we played him. We beat him 27-7.
Right.
Let's see, that was week 6.
Nice.
Let's see the stat.
It's like this
line.
week.
Let me see the stat line here. DeMarco Murray, 22 rushes, 109 yards, and a touchdown. Sam Bradford, though, oh my God, 24 for 38, 280 yards, a touchdown, 3 interceptions, of course.
Yikes.
But Manning, he did his part. He threw a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Riley Cooper, was our leading receiver, 3 receptions, 76 yards, and a touchdown. And then, of course, that year, that was Jordan Hicks' rookie year. Of course, he was our lead tackler because
he was amazing.
Up until halfway through that season, he was the best linebacker on the planet. I mean, he was insane until he got injured.
Yeah.
He was incredible. And I remember, I think we had a pick 6, and I thought Murray had like a big touchdown run. I'm wondering if that came at the end of the season. Maybe I'm thinking of 2 games and putting them together.
Right.
Let me see this one here real quick. Oh, they don't even have the record on here.
Wow.
They don't even have the game information. Interesting. But so 2015, I thought of that. We swept them that year. So that's a nice thing. That led to that was 2 of our 7 wins was against the Giants. So,
wow.
Kind of embarrassing, but whatever. Let's talk about Saquon. What do you thinking to see? This is kind of my matchup of the game. This is the obvious player to watch that everyone's talked about.
Yeah.
So we chose other players, which we'll talk about in a second.
Sure.
But my matchup of the game, I'll just say it now. My matchup of the game was the run game. We really lost it last week. Just didn't happen. And sometimes that happens. You can't get mad about it.
Yeah, it's not like they didn't try, but they just wasn't happening. It would it wasn't happening.
No, absolutely. And it was a good, we played against a good defense. Good defense against the run.
Yeah.
The Giants are not a very good defense.
Now, we would have had more yards when Barkley ran into the back of Dickerson. I think he had, remember on that one run, he had like 40 yards open, but he ran right into him at full speed too.
Bit of an off game for him last week.
But that was kind of a bummer because if he had missed that, he would have got at least a 20-yard run there. So that would have beefed it up. But I'm looking forward to him getting the ball a little bit more this and sticking with the run. There's been a lot of talk this week about us being a throw deep kind of team, not throwing in the middle of the field. And I'd like to see us, try to run the ball a little bit more. With the offensive line a little bit maladjusted now.
The big talk is that Fred Johnson is known for being a really good run blocker.
That's right.
So that just makes the offensive line still strong in the run block. Pass pro is going to be a little bit.
When the Giants are the leading sack team this year.
They are.
Yes, they are.
Okay,
yes,
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I guess I don't know stats.
No, that's okay. Yeah, no, that's what they are the leading. They got some of their defensive linemen have numbers 4, 5, 6 sacks, I think, something like that. So, so the best we can do to establish the run, push them off the ball, and then open it up with the passing game eventually. Because I know their backs are not good. Their defensive backs aren't good.
Yeah.
But their defensive line makes up for it. So you have to know how to pick that middle area or hit them where they ain't.
Yeah. I think another interesting thing to watch, and You might have a matchup of the game, too, that you'll want to talk about, but let me point this one out. Kind of our defensive backs. So obviously, Quinyon Mitchell's had a great season. Cooper DeJean had a great game last week. We hope to keep that going forward and everything. Sidney Brown, he was a full participant in practice yesterday on Wednesday. Now, the thing was Darius Slay. He was a limited participant the other day. So, there's that chance that Slay's not playing. We don't know. He's a limited participant. He wasn't out. So, we don't know about that. But it's just one of those things where if Keely Ringo has to play, or Isaiah Rodgers, whoever we decide to start on that side, and Sidney Brown plays, we got a very young,
speedy
defense, very young backfield in the defensive backs playing against some pretty good wide receivers. Now I know, I can't think of his name. Malik Neighbors, the new guy. He was in concussion protocol, but he was a full participant today.
Right.
Wandale Robinson, full participant. He's had actually a really good season. Wandale Robinson, their slot receiver, he's actually been really good, surprisingly. And then Darius Slayton is a guy who has never been amazing, but he's always had good plays against us. He's always done good things against us. It's very annoying.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty young defensive backfield. If Ringo has to play against a pretty talented wide receiver group on the other side.
Right. Well, the one good thing about the Giants is they don't have much of a running game. They've got with Tyrone Tracy Jr., who he's also not just a running back who had 17 carries last week, but he also has like 6 receptions. So they use him in both ways. They either do the screen or the dump off. So, they are missing a lineman, one of their good, Mark Andrews, I believe his name is. So one of their tackles is out. So hopefully we can pressure Daniel Jones, and hopefully we can get some INTs. Quinyon has been so close this year, still doesn't have a pick. So we're looking for hopefully a few picks this week.
Yeah.
And just kind of turn it and just continue with the rolling of the younger defensive backs that we've seen. If Slay plays, that's great. We're probably a better team with him playing. But like you, I want to see some of the younger guys because we've been just leaving guys wide open the whole season so far. Sometimes unnamed players, And I loved how I said it last week on the pod. How I loved how Cooper he was playing tight coverage. He was shoving those receivers in the first 5 yards,
very physical,
into the middle of the field, and then also rushing the quarterback, making great plays on the outside. He was really, really good.
You don't have to tell me about Tyrone Tracy. I got him in fantasy, and he helped me out winning last week. I won't be playing him this week, of course. Hopefully Aaron Jones.
He had some good numbers. They weren't great. He was like 2-point-something yards a carry, but he had 17 carries. He
also had a touchdown.
But he also had 6 catches for probably the same amount of yards. So probably close to 90 yards or so receiving. So but so they don't have a great running game. So and hopefully we can continue to build on what we did last week.
Definitely.
Stuff the run. Stop the pass.
That's the thing. Daniel Jones, similar stats to Hurts this year, unfortunately. 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, each of them. Really hope to get some picks this weekend. And we only have 2 on the season, both by Reed Blankenship. Turnovers have been a problem for us the last 2 years on both sides. Yeah. On offense, turning it over, and on defense, not getting turnovers. Reed Blankenship is like the only guy getting picks nowadays. It's hard, and that's what Slay is kind of supposed to do. He's supposed to be that big play Slay.
That's how he made his Pro Bowls.
We call him Big Play Slay. Yeah, that's his nickname.
But the other thing is Daniel Jones. So hopefully our ends box a little bit because Jones can run the ball. He drives me nuts. He gets outside, and a lot of times it's wide open field, and he's quick. He knows how to run when he does. So hopefully we can put him down a few times and slow that down too. So.
Definitely. Do you have a player to watch? A player
I'm going to be looking at
Saquon.
Maro Ojomo. I thought last week he played great. We looked at the stats, and he really didn't have many, but I rewatched the game, and I know he had a solo tackle. I saw him. I saw him take the guy down by himself.
Yeah, I pulled it up because last week I was wrong in what I said with the snap count. We had the wrong one up.
That's right.
He had 21 snaps, so he played 37% of the snaps on defense.
He looked good.
And then as far as his total stats, let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Final defensive stats. That's the Browns, of course. I'm not on the Eagles. Let's see more. Jomo. I got nothing. Yeah, still no stat line. We talked about that. Yeah,
but he was in on a couple sacks. He was in on a couple.
He was around the ball.
Yeah, he was around the ball. And I remember saying, who is that guy? I knew 197. He was great. There was a lot of push last week with Carter and Jordan Davis and Milton Williams and Ojomo. So Ojomo's my guy. Last week, Kobe was my guy. Kobe Dean, he made a great game. So hopefully he had like 12 tackles. We talked about that. Hopefully Ojomo can continue it and just get more playing time.
Yeah.
What'd you say, 37%? That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
This is still not my player to watch. I have one reserved, but I do want to point out we also are going to be having Fred Johnson out there playing left tackle. We already mentioned that. That's going to be a big deal in the pass rush because they do have that really good defensive line, and you talked about the sacks and everything. So that's a big one to look for. Hopefully, Big Fred can be just like the other Johnson. He can play just as well as the other Johnson. Yes. We'll see. My real player to watch, I have it written down here, Devontae Smith. We try to avoid the stars. We talk about them a lot. It's too easy to say, oh, A.J. Brown, I'm looking forward to him, of course. But I do have to go with Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, it's funny, as I was typing up the template and kind of getting ready for the pod, I thought Devontae, he feels like he's done really well against the Giants. And I looked it up and I found it on StatMuse. He's played 5 regular season games, 6 total games against the Giants. One's a playoff game. I'm counting that. In those 6 games, he's got 29 catches for 373 yards. So he got 62 yards a game, 61.4, whatever, and 4 touchdowns in those 6 games. So, if you want to talk about Boston Scott being the giant killer, we might have his
a new version.
We might have a new version of it. We might have Smitty, the mini giant killer. I don't know. He's another small guy. You know what I mean? I don't know.
He is.
So I'm looking forward to see him against the Giants, and I think he kind of has their number, and hopefully he can continue on and keep Hurts on the right track.
That sounds good to me.
Yep. Let's get into some team stats. So as far as offense and defense goes, we kind of have a little bit of an upside on their offense. So total yards, we're at 385. That's 8th. They're at 19th with 329. Passing yards, close to each other. We got 220 a game. They got 213. Rushing yards, we destroy them. We're 6th, 146, and they're 24th with 105.
That's it. That's the key right there.
Big time. Points are a little bit more similar than we want. Our points are at 20.8. Theirs are at 16. And then third down percentage on offense, we're at 39.7. Their offense is 21st with 36.8, and we are 18th.
Still pretty high. So
we're still pretty close to each other there. As far as defense, they kind of have they have the better defense over us. Total yards, we allow 354. They allow 340. Passing yards, we allow 218. They allow 197. Rushing yards, we allow 123. They only allow 116. Points, we allow 22.4. They allow 20.2. And third down percentage, almost dead on. We're 12th with 34.5. They're 11th with 34.3.
Yeah, the Giants are surprised this year, I think. I think we thought they might not be as good or even a team really contend with. And they've been in pretty much all their games so far this season. I have watched a few of them, not really intently, but I know they were fairly close in some of their games. So I know the early game they were the first game of the season. But surprising. I think maybe they might be an every other year kind of team because last year they were not there. Yeah. They were, they obviously were banged up and Daniel Jones was out a lot. So but we'll see. Hopefully we can get to them this year and knock them down a few times and get back in track.
Definitely. It's going to be a big thing. This is a huge game. I mean,
it is.
And it's funny because there's a lot of media that's kind of leaning towards the Giants, and I don't agree with them, but I also don't blame them.
Right.
It's really
makes sense.
Tough to listen to and tough to have to face, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
Well, hopefully there's a chip on the shoulder after the whole Nick Sirianni thing. That was a national media kind of explosion. Hopefully, that's the one thing we do talk about, and we know Sirianni does have the players behind him.
It's true.
They kind of like his banter. They kind of like his cockiness. Some people don't like that. It's split up the middle. But me, I like to win. So that's all I really
agree.
Put my thing down.
Yeah,
but
winning convincingly
is good.
Cures everything.
That's good. But winning's first.
Well, winning's a big thing. Yeah. But winning convincingly against bad teams is another thing.
Yeah.
If he had done that, if he had done what he did, and we had beat the Browns 37 to 12,
right,
to 10 to 13, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal.
No,
but it's just the fact that it's
a bad look.
We're not winning. We're barely winning. We're barely scraping by against a horrible team. And I know I got into a lot of debates with people on TikTok and Facebook over the week and everything, and they're like, "Oh, it takes a long time for these teams to come through. It's all new coaches." No, it's not. It's not all new coaches. There's one guy and there's one common denominator. Yeah. We've always talked about this.
We got a new OC and a new DC, but
the head coach is the same.
They've been around for 4 months now, 5 months since they started training.
That's it. I just got to play in the preseason. But all right, let's go into some injuries. We talked a little bit about the big ones. Mailata definitely going to be out, looking like he'll be missing a few weeks. Slay, limited participant. We'll see if he's playing. Goddard did not participate today.
No.
We'll see. It doesn't look like he's going to be playing either, which is just stinks. I don't know. Other guys listed on here, Milton Williams didn't participate, so it's maybe looking like might not be playing. Anaya Smith, full participant. Albert O, full participant. Jalix Hunt, limited participant. We want him to be playing.
Gosh, I'd love to see him get in there a little bit.
I agree. Oren Burks, limited participant. And Sidney Brown.
What's his number? Just so I can keep my eye on
Jalix?
Yes.
Jalix Hunt's number 58.
Weird number, but okay.
That's a good number. It's Jordan Hicks.
Yeah.
It's funny how a number can
defensive
stick
end,
to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a defensive end. For a defensive end, well, once they changed the NFL rules
with the rushing running linebackers,
with everything.
Changing numbers.
They changed defense to be you can do whatever you want.
I know,
and I
know.
Oh my gosh, I can't stand it. Trayvon Diggs at number 7, Parsons at 11. I know I'm talking about Cowboys. Hassan Reddick at 7. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
58 is defensive end. You can let it go if he's kind of a linebacker-ish defensive end. I don't know.
Prototype type. Yeah.
Yes. You like that word?
I got the number. I do like
prototype.
That's right. I'm a prototype.
You always say prototype.
I'm a prototype of a podcaster. So yeah.
Some big injuries that they're going to be facing. Brian Burns didn't participate yesterday or today. Their punter didn't participate yesterday or today, and Dexter Lawrence, he did not participate yesterday or today. So they're struggling a little bit on that side. That's 2 big defensive players, linebacker and defensive tackle. Another big defensive player who did not participate, Adoree Jackson, their starting cornerback. So this
They might be resting them, though.
I mean, it's very
Dexter
possible.
Lawrence has been amazing this year.
Oh, I know. It's very possible that they're just resting
But you never know. You're right.
But if you don't participate 2 days in a row, that's a little bit more than
that's the thing about the NFL now. We were talking about this earlier, where the injury thing all of a sudden can come. What? He's not playing?
Yeah.
What? The other day,
it feels different.
It is different.
Like it feels different. Like
you knew 3 days before who was playing.
Yeah.
Or not. Now it's right the day before.
Yeah. Well, like the Atlanta game, we found out that AJ was going to be out the morning before, and it was like,
what?
Whoa! Like,
when did this happen? Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you talking about? And then early morning on Fox Sports, when you're not on Fox. I'm sorry. It's on Fox. The NFL Ticket.
Gotcha.
When you're watching there, they go, oh, yep, and he's in and he's out, and I'm like, whoa! Like this should have been said 2 days ago.
Right.
You don't get to.
I already made my bet.
Maybe not 2 days ago, but you got to know Saturday.
Yeah.
You can't come into Sunday and go, yeah, it's a game time decision. No.
Well, that's one of the reasons we're doing the podcast tonight, because we used to go, no, we can't do it till Friday night, Saturday morning, so we know the injury report.
I got tired of it. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
The podcast does better when it comes out on a Friday, not on a Saturday.
I get you.
So we need to do it on Thursdays.
But I mean, the whole injury report thing.
Yeah.
Who knows? Tomorrow the whole team could be on the injury report.
True.
So.
Other guys they have on there: Ty Summers, linebacker; Slayton, wide receiver; Singletary, running back; Wan'Dale Robinson, wide receiver; Malik Neighbors, wide receiver. These guys were all full participants or limited participants the last few days. So
Neighbors coming off a concussion.
Yeah, he was
pretty bad one too. I think
it was bad.
Yeah.
It was really rough. He missed the game last week because that happened. Or were they on a bye?
No.
Yeah, he missed the game last week because he suffered that concussion in the Cowboys game 2 weeks ago, and then he didn't play
last week.
He suffered that in the Cowboys game. He didn't play in the Seahawks game or the Bengals game. So he missed 2 games. Is that correct? Am I correct there? There might be a Giants fan watching who's going to be like, you idiot.
You guys don't do any work.
He played 2 weeks ago or something. I don't know. But he got concussed in the Cowboys game. I remember because I was cheering for them, and then he got hurt, and I was like, well, it's over.
It hurts that.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go ahead talk about some other games on the weekend before we go ahead and start to say our goodbyes.
Right on.
So Broncos-Saints game's going to be starting by like 12 minutes, so
nice.
That'll be fun to watch. We'll see what happens there. We like to kind of follow the Broncos since we're in the area.
That's right.
Another big one, Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings. Kind of the biggest game of the weekend. I'm surprised it's not a 225 game of the week thing.
Well, Vikings 5-0, right?
Vikings 5-0, Lions 4-1.
So after last week's game, they looked.
Oh my gosh!
They moved up a little bit in the power rankings.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I'm so happy.
It's a heck of a game.
Yeah, these guys are probably both in the top 5 of the power rankings. I don't know for sure. I don't have them pulled up, but it's a big game. I mean, it's a huge game for NFC, for conference and division. They're in the same division, so division and conference power. It's a big game. Seahawks and Falcons are going to be another 11 o'clock game. Kind of a big one. Falcons on the trend up. Seahawks kind of going down.
I agree.
Falcons are 4-2 right now on a 3-game winning streak. Seahawks 3-3 on a 3-game losing streak.
Wow.
So kind of a big deal there. We'll see what happens along the way for them. Not in the same divisions, but still a big conference game.
Niners were off last week, right?
Niners were off
Yeah.
last week. They're playing the Chiefs this week. They're the 225 game. They're probably the game of the week now.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
225,
Okay.
big game for them. That's Super Bowl rematch coming up. We'll see what happens there. And then the Panthers and Commanders, the 205 game, another NFC. We'll see how good the Commanders can keep it up. They are playing against the Panthers, so that's kind of a.
You never know. That might be a
yeah.
catch me from behind game.
It's true. Yeah, you never know.
I mean, they lost last week, and they look good though.
Yep.
Stinking Daniels.
And then 2 Monday night games coming up. Both AFC versus NFC, but 2 big NFC teams in a way. Tampa Bay 4-2 along the way right now, I believe, and they beat some good teams. Present company included.
Yeah, they beat the Saints last week. Pretty good.
They beat the Lions.
Yeah, that was
They beat the Lions.
Yeah.
They lost the Falcons, but they beat the Lions. And
last week's game was one of those shootouts, and the Saints just didn't have enough.
Yeah, no. And then the Chargers are going to be going to the Arizona to play the Cardinals.
Oh wow!
And the Cardinals, what are they sitting at? 3-3, 2-4.
Yeah.
Okay. Felt like they were a little bit better of a team. It feels
they had that one good game, like week 2 or week 3, but
where they destroyed the Rams.
Just
you notice I didn't even mention the game the Rams are playing. I didn't mention the Packers either. They're both playing AFC teams, so a little bit less conference stuff this weekend. It feels like there's a lot of inter-conference playing as far as playing NFC versus AFC. So,
well, after this week, we have 2 interconference. So
yes, that's right. Yeah. I got nothing on other sports. Do you have anything to say about football or any other sport or anything?
Not really. Just
the Union play the FC Cincinnati tomorrow in Philly. We talked about that before already. 4:00, and then
Penn State's
on the bye. Yeah, so there's not much going on.
Right.
Yeah. That's everything. Cool. All righty. Well, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. If you enjoy our most recent TikTok, we'd love for you to go watch it. It was pretty fun. We thought it was pretty funny as far as a Nick Sirianni TikTok.
It's under the same Our Eagles Therapy.
It's called Our Eagles Therapy. Yep.
Can't miss it.
If you like Our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe and comment down below your score predictions. Email us your questions at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
And fly, Eagles fly.